Hey guys, welcome in this new video. I hope that all of you are doing great. In today's video, I want to share with you guys the story of my biggest loss in trading and what did I learn from it. Just before we start, as always, if you are not already subscribed to the YouTube channel, make sure you do that so that way you are sure to not miss any new videos coming out, and also leave a like under the video. I would truly appreciate it. So let's actually get right into it and let me share with you guys the story that basically nearly ended my trading career. So let's actually come back to the beginning of my trading journey. This is where my biggest loss happened. Just like probably most people at the beginning of your journey, well, this is where you are the worst. This is where you are the most vulnerable to having big losses, and that was also my situation. Now, this losses was not too big, so I never blew any account or I never lost all of my capital, but you will see that it was relatively a pretty big loss that I encountered into a very small period of time. So it happened about 2 months after starting trading with real money. So if you guys know a little bit about my story, which I shared in other videos and also on the Reversal Master website, which is my trading course. If you guys are interested in that, I'll leave the link down below. But if you know a little bit about my story, you know that I basically spent 15 months practicing on a demo account before starting live. So you can see already that I already had a good idea that it was important to really know what you're doing on the markets before you actually go and trade live with real money. So I learned that pretty early in my journey, which is why I never blew any account or lost a huge amount of money. So I've been lucky in that sense to learn these lessons early in my journey and not experience such losses. But I still did experience a huge loss eventually a little bit later. So as I said, I spent 15 months trading on a demo account, and then I went and opened a live account. That was my first account, and it had $200 in it. I will put a little screenshot here where you can see this is my first trading account live with real money. I only put $200 because at that time that was the only amount that I could afford to risk. I didn't have much money. I was a little bit struggling financially. I had to do jobs in the winter. In Quebec it gets very cold in the winter, removing snow out of people's yards and cars for like few bucks per hour. So I was a little broke at that time, honestly, and I only could afford to lose this $200. So this is what I decided to start trading with. So after that, this little beginning, as I said, was smooth. I made some good trades, I made some bad trades, but nothing really dramatic. And then a little bit later in my journey, I had more money and I decided to put another around $1.6 thousand, if I remember correctly, which means that I had at that point about $2,000 on my account. So that was basically the shift from a very small account to a small account. So after that, with this $2,000, I traded sometimes with this account for a few months, and then I have been able to grow this $2,000 into nearly $4,000. Now you can see that basically doubling my account in a few months period. This is a little bit extreme, I would say, because it shows that I was not respecting a really good risk management. As I said, I already had an idea, of what was risk management, that I needed to not put all my eggs into one trade and that I needed to be careful with how much I risk and all of that. I was a little bit aware of that, but not aware enough to the point that I would apply it, right? And this is something really important that I always try to remind people, is that just because you know something doesn't mean that you will apply it. Those are two different things. So that was my situation. I knew what was risk management a little bit, but I didn't, I was just not enough to apply it. Like in my mind, I was just focused on making money. I was just focused on growing my account, and I forgot the risk part, and this is what led me to having a huge loss eventually. So I grew this account from 2,000 to 4,000, and this is when I experienced my huge loss. So honestly, it all comes down to me freaking out a little bit. Now, I'm a very calm person by nature. I don't really get that anxious or really stressed out or very emotional about things. I'm able to stay pretty much, calm and rational in most situations. Of course, I'm human too, so if something crazy happens, I'll freak out, right? Just like anybody, but I'm able to, control myself pretty well. But that was not the case at that time, or at least not as much as I am able today. So I did freak out a little bit. So what happened is that I basically had this $4,000 on my account. I started, taking trades, and I was risking way too much. Just to give you an idea, I was risking about 5 to 10% on every trade, which is obviously way too much, right? You don't want to risk that much because it just puts way too much pressure on your account, and mathematically you will not be able to grow your account. So it's important to always risk a very small percentage of your account per trade. But at that time, as I said, I was not really able to apply this mentally. So I was risking way too much, and I made one trade, I lost, let's say, 5%. I made another trade, 5%. Another trade, 5%. So I started having few losses, and this started playing with my mind, right? Because after having those few losses, I was back at, let's say, $3,000 or $3,500. I don't remember exactly the numbers, but around there. And so my mindset started to shift from making rational decisions to trying to get back the money that I just had lost, right? I was trying to recover from my losses, and what did I do? I increased my risk, and instead of risking, for example, 5%, I risked 10%. And so I made few other trades like that, and I ended up losing a pretty good amount of money. This $4,000 eventually came back to $2,000. So I basically lost 50% of my capital, which I had gained before, right? Because I went from 2,000 to 4,000, and from 4,000 to 2,000. So this happened in few days, right? Like this $2,000 was not in one day. It was a few trades that led to having this big loss over about 1 week period. So that is basically what happened. I lost 50% of my capital in less than a week. Now, this lesson taught me few things, which I also want to share with you guys, because I believe that this video will be valuable to you if I actually share with you what I've learned from this loss, right? And so this is what I want to do right now. So the first thing that I learned was obviously applying risk management, because if you remember, I said that I was aware what was risk management, but I was not aware enough to apply it. So I started applying a much better risk management and decided to only risk 2% per trade, which is a relatively good risk management. Some people prefer it a little higher than that. Some people prefer it a little lower than that. That's okay. But personally, I decided to go and risk 2% per trade. So that was the first thing that I learned. Always, 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 always respect a good risk management. And from that moment, I never went against that rule. Not a single time. Because this event basically just shocked me so much that I had to learn the hard way, right? It's a little sad. In life, what you should try to do is not, have those many losses and failures and all of that, and always try to learn from other people so you will go faster to your goal, basically. But I had to learn this lesson the hard way. I risked way too much of my capital, and after that I decided to risk a lot less than that, and since then it has been going very well. So this is the first thing that I learned. Always apply a good risk management. This is the number one rule. As any good trader, they will all tell you the same thing. You need to protect your capital, right? Like, it's very logic. How can you trade if you don't have capital, right? How can you trade if you just lost all your money? Well, you can't, right? So if you don't have capital, you cannot trade. So you must protect your capital at all costs. The first task as a trader is to protect your capital and not even think of the reward, right? What is important is the risk and not the reward so much. Of course it matters, but the first thing that you need to take care of is the risk, and then you can worry about the reward, not the opposite, right? And this is what I had done. I was so focused on making money, on growing my account, that I forgot how much I was risking when I was taking trades, and because of that I had a pretty huge loss, which was about $2,000, right? And just to put you guys in context as well, at that time, $2,000, losing that after making it, that was pretty hard mentally to handle, right? Because I started with $2,000, which was pretty much all I could afford to lose. I made $2,000, so now I was feeling like a superhero. I was feeling like the Wolf of Wall Street, like such an amazing trader, and then lost everything, right? All the profits that I made before, lost everything. So that was a very shocking moment for me on the emotional level, because I thought that I was the greatest, and then in a second I realized that, oh shit, I suck, right? I'm not a good trader yet. So after that, well, as I said, I learned how to control my risk, and after that, well, everything went amazing, and I never experienced such a big loss after that. So that's really the main lesson that I learned from this situation. Always respect a good risk management. Now, the other lesson that I learned that is also very important: never trade with your emotions. Right? If you remember, I said that when I got few losses, it started playing with my mindset, and I started increasing my risk in order to basically try to recover from that loss. That was a huge mistake. And when we think deep about this behavior, well, you see that it was all caused because of my emotions, right? I lost some money. I wanted to recover from that loss, right? I wanted to get back the money, wanted, emotions, right? They go together. And because of that, I went and risked way too much on every trade. So everything was basically because of my emotions that led me to have such a huge loss on my account. So I learned from this experience that I also had to control my emotions way better than I was. Now, as I said, naturally, I'm a pretty calm person, but in those situations, especially before when I didn't have any experience, well, I did freak out a little bit. And so this is what caused me to, lose more money than what I should have. So always control your emotions. And then after that, after this loss, I spent a lot of time to, do personal development, think about my behaviors, try to improve as a person first and then as a trader, and that after, well, just basically improved my trading mindset and also my mindset overall in my life. And I've been able to have a very good and consistent growth on my account since then. Obviously, I made a lot more money and I switched account. I didn't continue trading with this $2,000, but overall after that, my career has been very smooth since then, put it that way, because I have a good mindset when it comes to trading, and to arrive at this mindset I had to train a lot, right? But today I'm very good with my mindset. I think that this is one of my strengths as a trader. I don't really get emotional. I don't really have any stress related to trading. I'm able to control myself, and to achieve this level of peace, I had to do a lot of work on my personal development, as I said, but this has been so much worth it, right? And because of that, my trading journey has been pretty smooth since then. So these big losses, these were pretty much the hardest point in my trading career. And as I said, after that, everything went pretty smooth, but this moment was a very, very hard moment. And so the third thing that I want to share with you guys that I will learn from these losses is that you should not give up because you have a loss, or because you blow your account, or because whatever happens. You should not give up. Never, never, never give up. Because if I had given up on this, well, I would not be where I am today, right? I would not be a full-time trader, and I would just not be able to live the life that I'm living right now. So that's crazy to think about it, right? If I had given up at that moment in trading, I would probably still be going to school right now. I would be in university studying something that I might not even like, and probably just go and live an average life. So that's a little extreme, but that's really what could have happened, right? Because I didn't have any other plan than trading. So if I had given up on this, well, I don't know where I would be today, but certainly not where I am, and I would be way less happy probably. So that's basically the story of my biggest losses in my trading career. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video and that you learned something from it. As I said, I tried to make it as educational as possible and not just talk about my loss, but also what I've learned from it. I think that this is the best way to bring you guys value and to help you in your journey as well. So if you did enjoy the video, please share it around and also leave a like under the video. I would truly appreciate it. And yeah, so on that, take care, trade with care, manage money well, and I will see you in my next video. Bye bye.